This is the Star Wars The Black Series from Disney's Star Wars Ahsoka series. We have Professor Huyang from the series. I mean, if you watch the series, you know how absolutely amazing this character is. I love how this character was fleshed out in a live action series, and David Tennant, man, that guy's a genius in bringing this character to life. I picked up this figure from my local Toy Kingdom store for $28. Let's get the professor out of packaging.
This is the professor! Oh, professor!
Well, not that professor. Here is Professor Huyang out of the box, and he looks okay. He turned out pretty okay. I have a couple issues with this figure, but for what this figure represents in the entire Star Wars saga, I'm pretty happy to have a 6-inch 1/12 scale figure of this character. It's got a lot of very, very cool details, lots of amazing things about this figure, and at the same time, some things I did not appreciate about this figure. Let's take a closer look at the details of this new Black Series Professor Huyang.
The only time you are wasting is your own.
So the figure stands at about 16 centimeters tall, or about 6 1/3 inches tall. There are several things I did not like about this figure, but let's begin with the things I did like about this figure. For one, I do love the sculpt. The sculpt is pretty accurate to how he looked like, at least on the show. And there's a lot of details involved. You know, there's a lot of things going on with the figure sculpt, which I'm going to show you right now. You can see he's got his backpack. I like that the backpack is removable, which isn't necessary because in the show he doesn't really remove it. The backpack houses his extra arms. I do like this. I do like the fact that they've given us this this feature that he can deploy his extra pair of arms. That's pretty cool. I do love the fact that each and every part of this sculpt has a tremendous amount of sculpting. And he's got a very, very accurate head sculpt, at least from an aesthetic point of view. The way it's been sculpted, I do like it. Even the way the neck's been sculpted. Look at that torso. You get some inner workings here at the arms. He even has his work apron, which I think was also beautifully sculpted. And underneath, you get some robotic parts sculpting. Very, very nice. Overall, very happy with the sculpt. That's about it for the things I liked about this figure. You can see this is one of the things I did not like about it. It's very difficult to get him even in a standing position. And it's a combination of a lot of things, which I will discuss in detail. But right now, you can see him in his generic vanilla pose, standing pose, and you try to shake the table, down he goes. So that sucks. That's one of the things I did not like. He's got his temp pad, his data pad. I do like this. This was his main accessory, so it would suck if he did not have this. He's got the this was the lightsaber training device where he used when he was training Sabine Wren, and it would project like a pad, like a cricket bat, and that's the target that Sabine would hit. And it's what I do like the fact that they've added as an accessory, but they could have added two, and they could have added the actual holographic target and have it plug in to make it really realistic, because this is a Black Series figure after all, and you could recreate that whole training scene with Sabine. I don't understand why they didn't do that. The figure is not a large figure. It's a fairly thin and small, well, thin figure which doesn't have a lot of mass, and I honestly thought that an additional piece of plastic and clear plastic wouldn't hurt the budget so much for this figure, but it is what it is. Let's talk about articulation for the figure. For the most part, it's not bad. I love the head sculpt. There's a wide range of motion with the neck. You got a ball joint here, a ball joint in the middle, and you have a third ball joint at the base of the neck, which allows for great range of motion and expression when posing this figure. I like the fact that the extra arms have some joints that actually move and are articulated. That's great. The shoulders, standard forward and backward 360. They go in and out on a hinge. There is no bicep swivel. And it's a single joint because of the way the droid is. Single hinge, so that's fine. It moves barely 90 degrees. The wrists, great articulation, goes in and out, and a swivel. Both wrists do that. He's got a ball jointed waist section. No cut right here on the mid torso. No waist swivel, just one ball joint, which is okay. I guess they didn't want to ruin the torso sculpt. The hips are on ball joints, and again, no thigh cut. And what Hasbro is trying to do, they're trying to cut corners here. Instead of adding a thigh cut, they've just expanded the socket for the hip ball joint to allow you to sort of have a pseudo thigh cut, which is very little range of motion for people who actually pose their figures. So that kind of sucks. And I'm afraid that the lack of the thigh swivel is going to be the staple for future releases in the Black Series, which sucks. Okay, the knees can bend and hinge and can swivel. And they've added a boot cut, which is really because of the way this thing's been assembled and molded. So they have a boot cut, but no thigh swivel. I would rather have a thigh swivel than a boot cut. Ankles go up and down and have the rocker tilt, but the ankles can be a little bit loose. So that's one of the reasons why he keeps flopping over, because the pseudo ratchet joint is the one from one notch to another is just, there's just way too much space. So yeah. And then let's talk about plastic quality. Plastic quality in this figure absolutely sucks. Don't know why we're going back to these gummy pieces of plastic. I do get why the arms are gummy, and that, I suppose, has to do with safety issues, and so that when this figure falls off your shelf, the arms don't break off. So I get that. I get that it's a safety issue. That's fine with me. I can forgive that. What I can't forgive are the gumminess of the limbs. And part of the reason, apart from that loose ankle joint, the gumminess of the plastic is what's contributing to his lack of balance, even in a standing position. So you can get him, if you're lucky, in a very stable standing pose, but after a while you see that ankle hinges, they just loosen up and this thing just tips over. So gumminess of plastic coupled with a lack of articulation or looseness of joints contribute to instability even in a plain vanilla standing pose. I have this feeling this is an isolated case. I probably just got a lemon. Again, with my usual bad luck with Hasbro products, I keep getting these quality defects. So I'd appreciate it if you let me know in the comments if your figure, a copy of your Huyang Black Series figure, suffers the same type of issues as not being able to stand up. So that sucks. Let's talk about the one obvious thing that's wrong with this figure, and it's the color. The sculpt is pretty accurate, but he is sporting Clone Wars animation colors. So the colors are accurate to the cartoon. But this is not a Clone Wars figure. This is an Ahsoka series figure, and as such, you'd expect this figure to be accurate to the Ahsoka series, to the show, to the live action show, and it's not. I don't need to show you an image for you guys to know and realize, if you've been watching the show, this is the wrong colors. It's this pearlesque beige, metallic beige plastic that they molded this figure in, and I just wish they would not cut corners on paint apps. Was it too hard to paint this guy silver? I mean, they painted bits and pieces silver. Why couldn't they paint the beige parts silver? And that sucks. It's not accurate. That's the one thing I noticed when I took him out of the packaging. I thought it was just an error with the photoshopped images we've seen for the marketing photos, but it's not. This is his color. It's not silver. And some of you may say, why don't you just get a silver paint marker and just do the thing yourself? I mean, this is a Black Series figure. We deserve much more than having to redo the figure for them. I mean, Hasbro should already take into consideration the color of this guy before manufacturing it. And did they produce it way too early than the final cut of Ahsoka? I don't know, maybe. But still, I'm guessing this is the beta version of this figure. And I am 100%, 1,000% sure we are going to get another version of Huyang down the line, maybe as a 2-pack or a 3-pack with other figures, and he's going to be colored properly. But it sucks. The first figure we get inaccuracy in the colors. And this is a Black Series figure. I don't understand how they could have gotten this one wrong. And so some final thoughts on this Black Series Professor Huyang. Here he is with Sabine, Wren, and Ahsoka Tano. He scales very well, I think. Despite all the good efforts they put in this figure. As I was saying, great sculpt, you know, great aesthetic. The figure just suffers a lot with all these issues about it. You cannot stand him, for one. He just topples over, and that's because there's this combination of gummy, poor, craptastic plastic quality coupled with looseness of joints. And I think the most glaring inconsistency and really negative part about this figure is the lack of color accuracy to how he looked like on the show. Admittedly, he looks very cartoon accurate to the Clone Wars when he appeared in that show, but this is, like I said, a Black Series figure from the Ahsoka show, and as such he should look like how he looked like on the show. Lack of paint apps, wrong plastic color that they chose for this figure, it just brings down this figure so much. And like I said, the only reason I can recommend this figure, if you really want to keep this figure, it's because you're a big fan of the Professor on the show. But other than that, this figure I think is not worth keeping, at least this version, because like I said earlier, this is I think a beta version, and Hasbro is just waiting in the wings to release the final version of this figure, which is properly colored, maybe as an exclusive, a 3-pack, 2-pack, whatever, who knows. I'm sure they have something crazy like that up their sleeves, and I think I'm going to wait for that. Anyway, the figure is going to get a 7 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this Star Wars, the Black Series from the series Ahsoka, Professor Huyang. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews, and if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.